Hi there. Let's open a Chaos box. I got this from Walmart for $25. Just so you know, this unboxing is going to be a little slow. I like to read every single card. A lot of unboxing videos are pretty fast and they don't really take it that easy. So I wanted to change it up, and instead of car pulls, we're doing outdoor pulls. Yeah, let's do it. Alrighty. I am going to clip that little... Alright. We got our nice little blade. My dad got me this for Christmas not too long ago. I figured it'd be fun to open boxes with. So, let's see here. My face is right behind the camera, so it's kind of like I'm using the screen to do my unboxing. Just wanted to make sure that you guys get the best visual quality possible. I kind of mushed the box in between my arm out of excitement, just getting it out here. I've had this since Friday, but I wanted to save it until there was good weather out. We kind of had rainy weather this weekend, and yeah. Reason I like Chaos boxes, $25 for 5 boosters. Normally boosters run around $6, so you're saving on your average booster price. And I don't really care about set specific things all that much. I mean, I think that every set has its own qualities and perks. I mean, naturally I have my own preferences, but let's see what we get. All right, let's dump these out here. So, we got an Edge of Eternities booster, we got an Aetherdrift booster, a Bloomburrow booster, a Murders at Karlov Manor booster, and a Phyrexia. A Phyrexia all will be one booster, and this is our promo. So we're going to do this first. We got a Hulking Raptor, 2 colorless and 2 green. Ward 2, at the beginning of your first main phase, add 2 green, and it's a 5/3 dino. That's actually pretty cool. For 4 mana, you can get a body that actually adds mana instead of having to tap it. So you kind of get you get 2 free mana at your first main phase, and the fact that it has Ward 2 makes it even better. I mean, especially because it's a mono green card, so it can work in your mono green decks. And the treatment, I don't know if yeah, we can catch it in the camera right there. You get all your mana symbols in the bottom here. It is a foil. I really like this card. I think this is really cool. I can see this working in my mono green deck. My Planeswalker, I forget that, Freylease, that's the name of her. Or I could see that working in a dinosaur deck. I've been putting aside a whole bunch of dinos with the Naya colored dino, so this is a cool card. All right, I'm going to open these based off of excitement for opening them. I know most people will disagree with me, but I actually place Aetherdrift pretty high up there. I'd say the most excited is probably going to be Bloomburrow. Then Edge of Eternity is going to be second to last. We're going to do Aetherdrift. Murders at Karlov. There's some interesting cards in there that would be cards I would play with. I know there's really cool cards in Phyrexia will be one. So this is kind of a toss-up for me personally. But this does have 12 cards. So we'll open the Phyrexia booster first. Alrighty. That's a cool art. Yeah, that is a cool art. That is the Forge Hammer Centurion. I don't have that card myself, but love the artist. Love the artwork. Vladimir Kryetsky. I don't want to butcher your name, dude, but I like your artwork. All right. You got one of those double-sided... Okay, token. Phyrexian Might. Against all odds. 3 colorless and a white. Sorcery. Choose one or both. Exile target artifact or creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you get a blink with a artifact or creature. Or return target artifact or creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, for 4 mana, getting both of those, that's actually pretty nice, especially if it's an enter the battlefield effect, but that artifact or creature could also have an enter the battlefield effect. I think it would be cool if this ability was before this one, because then you could return that artifact or creature with mana value 3 or less and then blink it. So you could get 2 enter the battlefield effects off of the same target. But, I mean, nonetheless, for 4 mana, being able to blink something and return an artifact or creature card with mana value 3 or less. I'd say that's pretty good for its mana value. So that's a cool card. Glissa Sunslayer. Okay, I have one of these in my -1/-1 deck that came in the Lorwyn Eclipse set, the Anti-Ool. But I actually used the Reaper King No More. I believe that's the full name of the card. But I wanted another one of these because I have a 5 Boots Felix deck. So this is a win for me. Glissa Sunslayer, 1 colorless, black-green, legendary creature, Phyrexian zombie elf. So you get 3 creature types that you can play with. First strike, death touch. Whenever Glissa Sunslayer deals combat damage to a player, choose one. You draw a card and lose 1 life. Destroy target enchantment. Remove up to 3 counters from target permanent. This is really great if you have counters that you don't want on your permanents. It's really great if you have counters that you want your opponents to have. It's really great if you have, I don't know, if you need to hit a specific number of counters on a creature. For example, there's Aya's Oathsworn, which is in my 5 Boots Felix deck. If I manage to get this, I can remove all the counters from it and then search my library again using Aya's Oathsworn. So this is a really cool combo piece that I plan on using in 5 Boots Felix. Sinew Dancer, 1 white. Creature, Phyrexian Soldier, 3 colorless and a white tap. Tap target creature. Okay, that's kind of expensive for that ability. Corrupted, 1 white, tap. Tap target creature. Activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Okay, so if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, you can tap another creature for 1 white mana. There's definitely creatures that can tap just for tapping it itself, but the fact that this is only 1 white mana, yes, it'll burn more mana as you go, but I mean, it's a 1-drop, so you can get it out on turn 1, and if you're playing with poison counters, all the better. Urabrask's Anointer, 3 colorless and a red. Artifact creature, Phyrexian Wizard. When Urabrask's Anointer enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of permanents you control with oil counters on them. It's a 4/2. I don't really have a use for that personally, but I can see how that'd be useful if you're running oil counters on a lot of creatures. From what I've seen in the All Will Be One set, a lot of creatures have the counters on them themselves and they don't put oil counters on other creatures. So it's hard to imagine like a token deck with this being like broken, but I could see, you know, if you have oil counters on quite a few non-token creatures, which seems to be all the ones that have oil counters, I suppose, you know, getting advantage of that and being able to do damage, that's nice. Churning Reservoir, 1 red, artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on another target non-token artifact or creature you control. Again, non-token. So, and then it has 2 tap. Create a 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature token. Activate only if an oil counter was removed from a permanent you controlled this turn, or a permanent with an oil counter on it was put into a graveyard this turn. Pretty heavy conditions. I mean, if you're running oil counters and you need something to continue putting oil counters on it, this would be good. Again, personally, not something that I am currently using. Resistance Skywarden, 3 colorless and 2 red. Menace Reach, 5/5. 2 keywords in a 5/5. I mean, you get equal to power toughness in its mana cost, but you also get menace and reach, so you get a little bit of offensive and defensive quality with that. I mean, not terrible. It would probably work in my Johan deck. It's all about creatures with power 5 or greater. I do plan on buying the other Naya commander that lets you look at the top 6 cards, I believe, and play one of them for free with power 5 or greater. So, I mean, that being said, this wouldn't be a bad choice for that, especially because Menace on a 5/5 is pretty decent, but I mean, having Reach on a 5/5 also is helpful. Although I don't know if this really competes with the other cards I have in that deck. But then again, I often overlook the utility of keywords. Oh, Forge Hammer Centurion. Vladimir, I don't want to butcher your name. Vladimir Krajcecki. That's the art card that we got. Cool. 2 colorless and a red. Creature, Phyrexian Warrior. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Forge Hammer Centurion. Okay. Whenever Forge Hammer Centurion attacks, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. Neat. Okay. So, I mean, I could picture this in Ishin, and, you know, if you're running Ishin kind of with tokens, and they're going through your graveyard frequently, or even if you're creating treasure tokens, then you can trigger those artifact abilities. I could also see this in Prosper Tomebound. That's one deck that I've been running. He has tokens that frequently go in the graveyard, those treasures. And then, I mean, there's also, like, goblins. Goblins are relatively easy to run with, you know, putting creatures in the graveyard, but the attacking ability, triggering twice with Ishin, is probably the best place that I would put this. Because then you could remove 4 oil counters from it, and if you're creating tokens anyway with Ishin and they're dying, then you can prevent 2 creatures from blocking. Aside from that, I mean, sure, it's got some utility. It's a 3/2. It's not the most impressive of a rules of a text box, but I mean, it's got utility to it. So I'd have to explore, like, what deck or what cards this is paired with the most. Nonetheless, it's interesting. Adaptive Spore Singer, 2 colorless and a green. Vigilance. Creature, Phyrexian Druid. Vigilance. When Adaptive Spore Singer enters a battlefield, choose one. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains Vigilance until end of turn, or Proliferate. Ooh. I have been plotting to make a Abdel Adrian plus Master Chef deck, and using a whole bunch of creatures with Persist and using +1/+1 counters to continually bring those creatures back. But having Proliferate and the capability of buffing creatures, yeah, for 3 mana to get it out and to get the first trigger, sure. It's a little bit, I guess it's a little bit expensive, but like for a 2/2 with a choice and it has Vigilance, I don't see many downsides to this, but putting it in my Abdel deck, especially if I'm putting counters on permanents. Yeah, this could have use in that deck. Rustvine Cultivator, 1 green. Creature, Phyrexian Elf Druid. Tap, put an oil counter on Rustvine Cultivator. Tap, remove an oil counter from Rustvine Cultivator on tap target land. I mean, for 1 green mana, sure, you can untap a target land every other turn, unless you have things that untap this guy. But, or if you're proliferating those counters, I just don't see its utility compared to some other, like, I think it's Arbor Elf. He's just, you know, straight up tap, untap target land, or perhaps it's target forest. So maybe this card's a little bit more, maybe I'm overlooking it. It is also a 1/2 instead of a 1/1 for 1 mana. I don't see myself using this anytime soon, but nonetheless, I mean, it untaps lands. I mean, if you're landlocked and you're running 3 colors and you only hit 2 of them, and you need to, if you're running 2 colors or 3 colors and you only have 1 land that produces a mana that you need, I mean, sure, this has its utility, but I mean, for green, you might as well run that elf or another creature that just straight up taps to untap a target land. Then again, might be more mana heavy. And also, if you only have 1 land on the battlefield, I mean, this wouldn't be a bad card to be stuck with. Like, if you start with just a forest in your starting hand, and, you know, you got some cards that are all low mana value and you want to play it out, this might determine, you know, keeping that 1, maybe 2 land hand. And being able to untap a land every other turn, you know, might be able to pull you through a little bit. Barbed Batterfist, colorless and a red. Artifact equipment for Mirrodin. So when it enters, it creates a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. Equipped creature gets +1/-1 and has equip 1. I suppose if you want to kill a bunch of creatures, if you want death triggers, but then again, the equip 1, you can only do it as a sorcery, and it does cost 1. I mean, you do create a 2/2 that would really end up being a 3/1 for 3 mana. So, I mean, I suppose maybe if you're blinking this artifact on and off the battlefield to just create 2/2s, that wouldn't be that bad. I don't really have a deck that is optimized for that, but I could see, you know, making a whole bunch of 2/2 red rebels by blinking this. Bladegraft Aspirant, 2 colorless and a red. Creature, Phyrexian Warrior. Menace, equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Nice. Activated abilities of equipment you control that target Bladegraft Aspirant cost 1 less to activate. Okay, so equipment focused, and it's a 2/3 with Menace. So, I mean, the fact that it reduces the amount of mana that you have to pay for equipment spells, but also, you know, if you want to equip anything to this, and the fact that it already has Menace, I'd see this being a pretty cool part of an equipment deck. I've been setting some cards aside. I don't really know that it would be a deck that I would make anytime soon, but nonetheless, it's pretty cool. I'm noticing on my camera it's a little far out, so I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to try and keep my hand here so that you can see the cards a little better. And then we got a full art island. I like that. Nice. So that was our Phyrexia All Will Be One pack. Most people who record, they'll put prices over each and every card that they open up. I don't really like doing that because if I fall below, I'll feel ripped off or disappointed even. I like to try and be content with what I have and what I open. And I also like to try and take the time to see how every card can fit, potentially. Want to give every single card its best shot. Instead of just looking for those chase cards, those $30, $25 cards that everybody else is after. And I don't really like metagaming, so I try and stick away from... you know, just playing the best cards at every given moment. I like creative solutions, and I like to play high bracket 3, low bracket 4. So like I like making decks that can be competitive in my play group. But yeah, elephant. My best friend loves elephants, so this might make a great gift for him. These make great bookmarks. If you get the chance to put art cards inside one of your books, it's always pleasant to open up to an artwork. This is cute. It's admirable. And I don't know much about the Murders of Karlov Manor. Let's make sure I'm saying that right. Murders at Karlov Manor. I don't know much about the set. I didn't really buy much of it when it came out. Foil Swamp. That's pretty. I like the mushrooms. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. I don't really know much about the set. I didn't really buy much of it. I regretted not buying the Clue bundle because it turns out there's some really cool cards that were in there. The chase is on. 2 colorless and a red. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Investigate. Card draw in red. Yes, you have to pay 5 more. You have to pay 5 mana total if you want to draw that card. But to give a creature +3/+0 and gaining first strike, maybe a deck that reduces instants and sorceries like by 1. Like if you get that 1 mana reduction, I'd say this would be pretty well worth it, because like think about lightning bolt or things that just cost 1 mana that can do 3 damage. There's quite a few of them. The fact that this gives you first strike, I mean, if you have a creature with death touch, that makes this card a game, like it changes the game. It changes that aspect. And the fact that it creates you a clue. If you're running a token deck, if you're running Academy Manufactor, those are all things that I could see working really well with this. Also, the artwork that it has with that lens over it, and I mean, you can kind of see the detailing in there. I really like that kind of artwork. So, I mean, even though this might not be the most competitive card, it might be good to just put in a deck for fun. I could see this working in... I have my... Oh, what's his name? He's black-red. Yes, Zagreus, Thief of Heartbeats. He gives all your creatures death touch. So this and that deck would not be bad at all. The +3/+0, I don't know if it would really matter, but the fact that it gives card draw for black-red without, having to discard, that's not bad. Okay. Moving on. Lost in the Maze. X, blue. Enchantment, flash. When Lost in the Maze enters the battlefield, tap X target creatures. Put a stun counter on each of those creatures you don't control. Tapped creatures you control have hexproof. Okay, so you can tap your own creatures, put a stun counter on everybody else's creatures. Not everybody, but the amount that you pay for. But tapped creatures you control have hexproof. I can see this working really well with, I think it's Archelos. It's the turtle. Whenever he's tapped, permanents enter tapped. Whenever he's untapped, permanents enter untapped. So turtles love being tapped. I could see this working really well with him. And the fact that it has flash can make combat interesting. Sanctuary Wall. A colorless and a white. Artifact creature wall. Defender. 2 and a white. Tap. Tap target creature. You may put a stun counter on it. If you do, put a stun counter on Sanctuary Wall. Aw. I mean, for 2 mana for a 0/4 isn't bad, but the fact that you have to tap this and pay 3 to tap target creature, it's kind of a little... Well, okay, you can tap the creature for 3, but if you want to put a stun counter on it, you have to put a stun counter on this as well. So, I mean, if you're playing an untapped deck, I suppose it's not that bad, but this to me doesn't seem all that great. Detective's Satchel. 2 colorless, a blue and a red. Artifact. When Detective's Satchel enters the battlefield, investigate twice. So create 2 clue tokens. Tap. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Activate only if you sacrifice an artifact this turn. Okay. So, I mean, if you're running treasure, if you're running clue or food, although I don't really see food in this color as much, you could create a 1/1 flyer. I mean, that's nice utility, especially since it simply taps. You don't have to pay mana into it. I could probably see this working with pirates. Yeah, that'd be fun with pirates, especially if you're creating those treasure tokens or even clues. Perimeter Enforcer. 1 and a white. Creature, human detective. Flying lifelink. Okay. Whenever another detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, Perimeter Enforcer gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I'm going to ignore that bottom piece of text, because I don't run detectives. 1 colorless and a white for a flying lifelink 1/1 is not bad, especially if you're planning on putting +1/+1 counters on it, and you're running a deck that buffs humans. I don't really run detectives, so this seems a little weird to me, but I'm sure there's good uses for it elsewhere. All right. Expose the Culprit. 1 and a red. Instant. Choose one or both. Okay. Turn target face down creature face up. I don't play much of that. Exile any number of face up creatures you control with disguise in a face down pile, shuffle that pile, then cloak them. Okay, that is using Karlov Manor mechanics. I don't even know what that does. I'm sure that plays into the mystery clue game, and it says Story Spotlight. So I don't know. Okay, that other card with that art says Story Spotlight on it. So I suppose I don't know. I wouldn't really know what to do with this card. I'm a little lost for this one. But, I mean, if you're playing any... not Morph. No, it is Morph. If you're playing Morph, you could turn them face up. Any number of face-up creatures you control with the... you can turn 1 face up for 2 mana. Yeah, I don't really have a use for this. I'm sure that it does somewhere, but it's not for me. Thinking Cap. A colorless. Artifact. Equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+2. Equip detective 1, equip 3. I don't play detectives. Unauthorized exit. 1 colorless and a blue. Return target non-land permanent to his owner's hand. Surveil 1. Okay, that is actually pretty cool. You can return a permanent to somebody's hand, and you get to look and possibly put a card in your graveyard that you can retrieve later, or find out what the next card you're going to draw is. And I mean, all for 2 mana at instant speed. That's pretty great. You can do it at the end of the person whose turn it is before you. Yeah, I think this has got potential, especially in storm decks or decks that like to play those low mana cost instants and sorceries. Yeah, I think that's neat. Magnifying Glass. 3 colorless. Artifact. Tap to add a colorless. 4 tap investigate. Okay, so, I mean, 6 mana to draw a card is pretty sad. But if you're running this, I mean, if you're just running this to create the colorless mana, I suppose it's not bad. I mean, 3, I don't see a way that I would run this or a reason I would run this, personally. Fanatical Strength. A colorless and a green. Instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. Cool. Okay. Simple but good. Granite Witness. 2 colorless, a white and a blue. Flying Vigilance. Disguise. Okay, it actually gives us the text. White or blue. You may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up anytime for its disguise cost. Okay, so anything disguised has ward 2 and it's a 2/2 creature. Interesting. When it's turned face up, you may tap or untap target creature. Huh. Okay, but you can only disguise it if it's cast. But, I mean, if you just look at it as 2 colorless, a white and a blue for a Flying Vigilance 3/2, that's not that bad. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see myself using this one all that much. But, neat. Make your move. I have this one. 2 colorless and a white, instant, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. So, pretty much only a creature with power 4 or greater. Unscrupulous Agent. A colorless and a black. When Unscrupulous Agent enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles a card from their hand. And it's an elf detective. Okay. Well, I suppose if you're blinking this guy, that's not bad. And I mean, the fact that you get to exile a card from somebody's hand, especially if you're playing a discard deck, it's not that bad. I think it's cool that it's an elf. You don't really see that in the artwork, but nonetheless, I think it's neat. It's a shame that it's a 1/1, but I mean, because it's black and it's exiling a card from their hand, I suppose it's not all that bad. Yeah. Okay. Karlov Manor, I wasn't as impressed with as Phyrexia All Will Be One. So far, Phyrexia All Will Be One is winning. That one has way more cards that I see myself using. So let's continue on to Aetherdrift. Alrighty. Max speed token. Does it have another side? Yep. Start your engines. Whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, if your speed is 1 or greater, increase your speed by 1. Max speed is 4. This ability triggers only once each turn. Okay, and they only have to lose life. You don't have to do combat damage, so that's convenient. I always want to remind myself of that text. Okay. Gear Seeker Serpent. 5 colorless and 2 blue. Affinity for artifacts. Okay. 5 colorless and a blue. This creature can't be blocked this turn. I actually have this in my High Lord Urza deck. The fact that you can reduce his mana potentially by 5 for a 2 blue 5/6 that you can dump mana into to prevent it from being blocked. I mean, sure, this ability is pretty expensive, but the fact that you can cheat him out for 2 blue mana, pretty sick. Lotus Guard Disciple. 2 colorless and a white. Oh, I love this one. Okay. When this creature enters, target creature or vehicle gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. This is a perfect blink target if you can do it at instant speed. This might actually go into my Abdel deck. My Abdel Adrian plus Candlekeep Sage. That's kind of my CEDH deck. It's not really. It's probably a bracket 4 in all reality. But the fact that you can give all of your creatures lifelink and indestructible if you can blink this guy infinite times, plus he's a flyer, I think that's really cool. Love this card. Gilded Goda. Colorless and a red. Creature. Horse mount. When this creature attacks while saddled, create a treasure token. Saddle 1. And it's a 2/2. So you just need something to tap to mount it. It's kind of... I mean, 2 mana for a 2/2 that can create treasures isn't bad. I mean, I could see this as a turn 2 creature. But I mean, without haste, you know, turn 3 comes around, everybody's going to start getting creatures out. If you find a way to give this, you know, haste turn 2 or something, I could see it working a little bit better. I mean, it's got potential, but not really my favorite. Spin out. Colorless and 2 black. Destroy target creature or vehicle. The fact that it just expands murder by another card type. I don't remember. I believe murder's at instant speed. So if murder's at instant speed, this just basically adds vehicle on top of it. I would argue this is power creep, but I mean, they added vehicles. So, I mean, if maybe they made that 1 a black, or if maybe they made it 2 mana, or maybe if they said destroy target creature or vehicle. If a vehicle is chosen this way, you lose 1 life. Some kind of drawback so that murder isn't just kicked out of the water. I think that would give murder a fair shot, but nonetheless, still a cool card. Loxodon Surveyor, 2 colorless and a green. Start your engines. Max speed 3. Exile this card from your graveyard. Draw a card. The fact that you have to exile them to be able to draw the card and that it's 3 mana, I wasn't really impressed with this cycle of cards. There's a few cards that are like this where you exile it from your graveyard and you can draw a card. Not a big fan. Walking Sarcophagus, 2 colorless artifact creature zombie cat. Start your engines. Max speed. This creature gets +1/+2. So it could be a 3/3 for 2 mana, but you have to be at max speed. Not impressive. Avishkar Raceway. Start your engines. Tap for a colorless. Max speed 3. Tap. Discard a card. Draw a card. Okay, you have to discard a card first. And normally the rate for drawing a card is 2 that you want to be at. But I mean, if you're playing a black deck and you want to put that expensive creature card that you could get for playing Victimize for 3 mana instead of paying the 9 mana, you know, it's worth putting that card in the graveyard. Otherwise, the fact that you have to discard that card first for 3 mana, not the greatest, and you have to be at max speed. So, not the best, not the worst. Defend the Rider. Super underrated card. 1 green. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Permanent. That anything that's on the battlefield. Or you could create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token. With this token, saddles, mounts, and cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 or greater. So if you're playing vehicles, this is even better for you. But just the fact that you can give a permanent hexproof and a permanent you control hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, I mean, this is a lifesaver. I love this card. I think it's super underrated, and if you're playing vehicle saddles and mounts, it's even better. Trade the Helm. 4 colorless and a blue. Sorcery. Exchange control of target artifact or creature you control and target artifact or creature an opponent controls. And if that's not convenient for you, or if you need to draw a card, you can cycle it for 2. I mean, that's the standard rate, and you could put this in your graveyard. Normally, I think the rate's a little bit lower to exchange an artifact or creature, but I mean, it's not all that bad of a card, especially because it's got that cycling. Risen Necker Regent. 4 colorless and a black. Creature. Zombie Cat Knight. Okay, neat. Start your engines. Max speed. At the beginning of your end step, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And it's a 5/4. Wow. Okay. I mean, you can put this in zombies, you can put this in cats, and you can put this in knights. Cats is the least likely, I'd say, out of all of those creature types. But, I mean, this makes the most sense in a zombie deck. And, I mean, if you're making your opponents lose life, you can create a 2/2 at the beginning of your end step. And it's a 5/4 zombie. Alright. Thopter Fabricator. 2 colorless and a blue. Flying. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Crew 2. So, I mean, the fact that this creates tokens that can... I don't know if you can tap more than one creature to crew a vehicle. But, I mean, the fact that this creates Thopters and itself is an artifact, and it's a 4/4 flyer, I mean, I think this is a pretty neat card, especially if you're running artifacts, especially if you're running Thopters. I don't see a use for it unless it goes in my Urza High Lord Artificer deck. But it's got potential. Afterburner Expert. 2 colorless and a green. Exhaust. 2 colorless, 2 green. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature. You can only activate it once. Whenever you activate an exhaust ability, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. I don't play exhausts. I don't have an exhaust deck, so this one really doesn't have much use for me. But, I mean, 3 mana for a 4/2, and you can pay to put counters on it. I mean, not bad. And it's a green goblin instead of a red goblin, so I think that's neat. Sky Streak Engineer. Colorless and a blue. Creature, human pilot, flying. Exhaust. So you can only activate it once. 4 colorless and a blue. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature. I mean, 5 mana for 2+1/+1 counters doesn't seem to me to be worth it, but it is in blue, and it is a 1/3 flyer, so it could potentially be a 3/5 flyer for a total of 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. But it's in mono blue, so I'll cut it some slack. Tranquil Cove. It enters tapped. When it does, you gain 1 life. Blue or white mana. Okay. Still mostly impressed with the Phyrexia All Will Be One pack. Aetherdrift is right after that. And then Karlov Manor was kind of a little disappointing this time around. I know most people would disagree and would be more excited about Edge of Eternities, but I personally love Bloomburrow. However, I've opened more Bloomburrow packs. So, I mean, honestly, I could do either one first. I'll just stick with Edge of Eternities because that's the way I had it, but... Robot. 2/2. Lander. Alright. Eelvoy Galeblade. 1 blue. Flash. Flying. 2 sacrifice this creature, draw a card. Okay. Immediately, I think of Muldrotha. You can pay 3 mana. Yeah, you can pay 3 mana to draw a card. Or you could flash in a blocker. And then when it's in your graveyard, you can pull it back for 1 blue the next turn. That's the first thing I think of. There's probably better uses for it. It's a Jellyfish Warrior. It is only a 1/1, but the fact that it has flash and flying, really useful in your hand. Night Luminary. 3 colorless and a white. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, and you can warp it. So you can get 2 of those enter the battlefield effects. So for a total of 6 mana, you can create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. You also get this human knight. That's a 3/2. So that's a total of 3, 4, 5. So that's a total of 5 power, 4 toughness, for 6 mana, but you get 3 creatures out of it. So, I mean, for the mana value, I wouldn't say that's bad at all, especially if you're going for human synergy. I always disliked how they mix knight and soldier types. I think that's a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. Peregrine Beckoner, 4 colorless and a black. Creature, horror. When this creature enters, until end of turn, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Ooh. And you can warp it for 2, and it's a 4/5. So, let's see here. Let's read this text. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost, exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step, then you may cast it from exile at a later turn. Okay, so it doesn't have haste, but a 4/5 that you can... A 4/5 that you can just drop down, and I mean, you can save a creature for 2 mana. I don't think you can do that. I think this casts at the same speed as the actual card, so you can't cast the warp at instant speed, but nonetheless, you can save a creature or you can, you know, prep something to sack. Pretty cool card. Sky Stinger. 2 colorless and a green. Reach. Whenever this creature blocks a creature with flying, this creature gets +5/+0 until end of turn, making it an 8/3 blocker for 3 mana. Love this guy. Beautiful card. Zookeeper Mechon. We'll settle with that. Colorless and a red. Artifact creature robot. Tap to add a red. Yes, we got a red mana dork. 6 colorless and a red. Target creature you control gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery, and it's a 1/3. This is awesome. Great little mana dork. 2 mana for a creature that can tap for a red. That's awesome. Divert Disaster. Love this counterspell. The reason why I love this counterspell so much isn't because it's great at countering spells. It's because if you're playing mono blue, you have a chance to ramp. A colorless and a blue, counter target spell, instant, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If they do, you create a lander token, and you can pay 2 to sack it and search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. So if you're playing blue-black, if you're playing blue-white, this is super useful. You can search for a basic and you can ramp up in those colors. Sure, it might not be great at countering a spell, but I mean, if somebody taps out for something really big, you have a counter spell in hand. I personally love this card. I think it's super underrated. Zealous Display. 2 colorless and a white. Instant. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If it's not your turn, untap those creatures. Okay. If it's not your turn, untap those creatures. Okay, so, I mean, if you're playing a token deck with a whole bunch of little dudes, this is every single card that says creatures you control. The more creatures that you have, the more valuable the card gets for its mana value. So, I mean, if you're playing tokens, boom. And the fact that it's instant speed and you can potentially tap out your board state and make it look like you're open for a swing and then just obliterate somebody's attackers, pretty nice. Mouth of the Storm. 6 colorless and a blue. Creature elemental. Flying. Ward 2. When this creature enters, creatures your opponents control get -3/-0 until your next turn. Wow. If somebody's running, again, more value with the more creatures, but this is the inverse, the amount of creatures your opponents have. So, I mean, if somebody's running a 3/3 deck where they're creating a whole bunch of tokens and they're, you know, buffing them to where they're 3/3, 4/4, you just made those 3/3s 0/3s. And the fact that this has Ward 2 and it's a flying 6/6, this is a really great card. And with the elementals that came out with Lorwyn Eclipsed, this is awesome. Sorry, I keep moving those cards off screen. Trying to keep an eye on it, but I get too happy. I end up scooching my arm. Eosical Engineering. 3 colorless and 2 green. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. And you can warp it for 2. So on turn 3, potentially, you could warp it down and play a land and create a 2/2 and then have this exiled for later. So that's not that bad. Molecular Modifier. 2 colorless and a red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. I know exactly where this is going. This is going in Zagras Thief of Heartbeats, because I can give my Death Touch creatures +1/+0 and first strike at the beginning of combat on my turn, every turn. So that's awesome. Oh my goodness. This must be worth money. Okay. Legendary creature, Sliver Mutant, Wooberg, Sliver Overlord. 3, search your library for a Sliver card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. 3, gain control of target Sliver, and it's a 7/7. Wow. Okay. I know these cards are worth money. I'll have to find out how much it's worth, but it's pretty cool that I opened this up in a play booster. So I'm putting this to the side where it's safe. Weft Walking. 4 colorless and 2 blue. enchantment. When this enchantment enters, if you cast it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library. Then draw 7 cards. Okay. The first spell each player casts during each of their turns may be cast without paying its mana cost. Whoa. Okay, my friends and I, we play this game mode where there's 5 people, and the 2 people you are opposite from are your opponents, and the 2 people next to you are your allies. So your allies are not allied with one another, but they're allied with you, and so on and so forth. If I play this in my group hug deck, this helps my allies, because there's myself and there's the 2 people that I am allied with. This helps my allies more than it helps my opponents. So this is directly going in there, especially since I can renew my hand and I can shuffle my graveyard into my library in blue, which is even better than, I mean, the standard is typically green for that. I mean, yeah, I guess there's quite a few blue ones that let you shuffle your graveyard in your library. But nonetheless, I think this is a really cool card. Nanoform Sentinel. 2 colorless and a blue. This is the foil version. Artifact creature robot. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, untap another target permanent. This ability triggers only once each turn. So, blue ramp again. You could untap a land, potentially. That's nice. And it's a 3/2 for 3 mana. And we got a plains. Alright, now I'm thinking that Sliver Overlord's probably making this whole box worth buying. I've seen those showcase cards, and like showcase cards can always get expensive, but I know slivers can always get expensive. So I doubt that Bloomburrow is really going to blow that pack out of the water. But nonetheless, Bloomburrow is such a beautiful set. I have this card. I forget the name of it. It enters the battlefield and does like 4 things if your opponents have more of that thing than you. But nonetheless, nice art card. This would make a great bookmark for my wife. Yeah. Okay. Starlit. I want to make sure I'm centered here. Starlit Soothsayer. 2 colorless and a black. Creature, bat cleric. Flying at the beginning of your end step. If you gained or lost this life this turn, surveil 1. And it's a 2/2. Okay. That's neat. Intrepid Rabbit. 2 colorless and a white. Offspring 1. You can pay an additional 1 as you cast it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. When this creature enters... a 1/1 token copy of it. I want to clarify that. When this creature enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So, 4 mana for 5 power and 4 toughness. And you get 2 creatures out of it, and you can buff any of your creatures. So that's pretty neat, and it's versatile. Lightshell Duo. 3 colorless and a blue. Creature, rat, otter. Pyrus. Whenever you cast a non-creature, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. When Lightshell Duo enters, surveil 2, and it's a 3/4. The only reason I'm going faster through these is because it's starting to get dark and cold, and I imagine my wife is looking at me through the window. Bark Form Harvester. 3 colorless. Changeling Reach. Put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. The fact that it has Changeling, and it's only 3 mana, and you can shove cards from your graveyard into your library, and it's colorless. You can put this in a lot of typal decks, especially ones that put stuff in your graveyard, or stuff that you don't want stuff in your graveyard. I have this one. I like it. Whisker Quill Scribe. Colorless and red. Creature, Mouse Citizen. Whenever Whisker Quill Scribe becomes a target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Okay. I've never really been for the discard draw unless it's paired with black or blue or something that wants things, or I guess green even, something that wants specific things in my graveyard. But I mean, red doesn't have many options for card draw, so I suppose that's not that bad. Okay. Seed Pod Squire. 3 colorless, white or blue. Flying. Whenever Seed Pod Squire attacks, target creature you control without flying gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And it's a 3/3. I mean, 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer that can buff a creature. I mean, The fact that it doesn't have haste makes this attack trigger worth a little bit less, and it doesn't have red. But I mean, you can buff another creature without flying, I guess. I don't really have use for it, but it's a card. Bellowing Crier, a colorless and a green. When Bellowing Crier enters, draw a card, then discard a card. Creature, Frog Advisor, 2/1. Clifftop Lookout, 2 colorless and a green. Creature, Frog Scout. Reach, when Clifftop Lookout enters, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Abdel, blink this guy as much as you can. Get that into the battlefield effect. Oh, Bonecaster Overseer. I like this card a lot. One black, creature, Squirrel, Warlock. Tap, pay 1 life, draw a card. Activate only if three or more cards left your graveyard this turn, or if you sacrificed a food this turn. I have a Hobbit deck and I have a Squirrel deck, so the fact that I got another one of these means that I can put it in the one that's lacking. I forget which one it is. Probably the Squirrel deck. Yeah. Oak Hollow Village. Land. Tap. Add a colorless. Tap. Add a green. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. Green, tap. Put a +1/+1 counter on each frog, rabbit, raccoon, or squirrel you control that entered the battlefield this turn. Each. Wow, that's cool. And rabbits and squirrels particularly, they love making more. Valley Rally. 2 colorless and a red. Instant. Gift a food. You can have somebody else make a food. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If the gift was promised, target creature you control gains first strike until end of turn. Okay, I mean, you can buff all your creatures by 2 power, and you can give one of them first strike if you gift a food. So I mean, if giving him first strike means potentially making him, I don't know, doesn't want to be blocked by a creature or something, I could see that working. I mean, 3 mana, sure, it's good. I don't have a red token deck necessarily, except for Krenko, but I mean, you know, Krenko, he's just goblins. So, oh, there it is. Beza, the Bounding Spring. This feels like 2 cards. Beza, the Bounding Spring. 2 colorless, 2 white. Legendary creature, Elemental Elk. I do have this card. I've been struggling on where to put it because it does so much, and if I blink it, it's just going to be text box. Oh, it enters again. Text box. It enters again. Text box. So on and so forth. When Beza the Bounding Spring enters, create a treasure token if an opponent controls more lands than you. You gain 4 life if an opponent has more life than you. Create 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you. Draw a card if an opponent has more cards in hand than you. Again, big text box. You also get a 4/5 out of it. I mean, great mana value. Great enter the battlefield effects. Lovely card. Just a lot to read, especially if I'm blinking it again and again and again. Not borderless. Full art swamp foil. Seasoned Warren Guard. 1 white. Creature rabbit warrior. Whenever Seasoned Warren Guard attacks while you control a token, Seasoned Warren Guard gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So you could potentially have a 3/2 for 1 white mana. And that is it, folks. Okay, cards that I am most happy about. Let's see here. Let's just go through all these. Oak Hollow Village. My hands are getting cold, so I'm kind of scrolling through these a little slower than I'd like to. I apologize for the wait. Oh, there's a card there. Weft Walking. Molecular Modifier. Mouth of the Storm. Divert Disaster. Zookeeper Mechon. And it's not to say that I won't use some of these cards that I'm scrolling through. These are just the ones that I'm picking out that are my favorites, that I liked from this. Let's see here. I mean, I feel bad putting Spin Out over there, but like, you get to target a vehicle. I feel bad for Murder. Whoever designed Murder, like, I feel bad for you, dude. This card trumps it, and I hate that it trumps it because I like cards maintaining their playability. Lotus Guard Disciple. Karlov Manor set has like nothing. Nothing. I guess Detective Satchel was probably the top one out of those that I liked, but... Or Lost in the Maze, actually. Lost in the Maze. If I had to choose one from Karlov, that would be it. Bladegraft Aspirant. Adaptive Spore Singer. Glissa. Glissa's awesome. And Against All Odds. Those are my favorites. And obviously Sliver Overlord. I don't have enough slivers to make a Sliver Overlord deck. But I'd imagine this card must be worth some money. I can only imagine the card must be worth some money. And this is also a highlight. The creature that you don't have to tap to add 2 green mana for 4 mana to put down. That's a 5/3 with Ward 2. Awesome card. Just awesome card. Chaos Box was $25 at Walmart. I'd say it was well worth the investment. There's no guarantee that these cards are going to be in packs that you open, just as a disclaimer, and there's no guarantee that these packs are going to be in your Chaos Box if you buy one. Let's flip this camera around. Dark and funky now. It's a pleasure having you. I hope you enjoyed this unopening. Yes, the recording's about an hour long for 5 packs, but I'd rather be personal and honest and earnest, and you guys have content to actually view. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. If you didn't, just please leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. I'm not going to just flip through cards really fast. I've never been like that. I don't think I ever will be like that. Again, I like to make sure that every card gets its place. And yeah, some cards shine easier than others. But I mean, particularly for the artists, for the people who design the cards, I think it's really important to just take time for each and every one. And a lot of the times cards go underestimated and they get scrolled over, and you go on EDH Rec and you try and build a deck, and you know, you find a card that works really well in the deck and you don't see it anywhere in EDH Rec. And that's because cards get overlooked. Just because something's a staple doesn't mean it's necessarily good, or as good, I should say. I'm very satisfied with the $25 I spent. I mean, even just that promo card was pretty impressive to me. If you want to donate any cash, any donation will go directly towards buying more cards for more videos. I'd like to do like an open source accounting kind of thing. And then eventually if I sign up for, I think, Facebook Premium and Instagram and whatever, you know, I can make money off of that. But any donations that you put in are going directly towards cards that will be unboxed and unopened. Yeah, sure, it might take hours and hours and hours because I take forever to talk. But God bless you. I hope that this video was satisfactory. I'll see you next time. I'll catch you later. Thank you.